Deep in the shadows, I know it's hard to put one foot in front of the other.
Hi everyone, CeeChronicles here. Welcome and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I post fragrance related content on this platform and would very much appreciate it if you did consider subscribing in case you're not yet subscribed. Now, to those who are already subscribed, thank you so much for the continued support. Please check out my second channel, CeeChronicles Unscripted, where I post vlogs as well as Western fragrance reviews. That channel and a PayPal donate link are going to be in the description of this channel. What I mean by this is if you go on my description right there where you see my photograph, you're going to see two links. One is going to take you to my second channel, CeeChronicles Unscripted, and the second one is going to take you to a PayPal donate page in case you want to donate anything at all towards the purchases of some of the fragrances on this channel. Today we're going to be talking about these two fragrances because they're twinning and they're both from Paris Corner. One is Qissa Pink and the other one is Qissa. It doesn't say blue, but I'm going to name them like that. So these are the boxes, guys. And as for the actual fragrances, let me show you. They come twinning as well in these bottles, right? So I'm going to start with Qissa Pink. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray it in its box. And then I'm going to tell you my thoughts about it so that it will make you, it'll help you decide as to whether you need to add this fragrance to your collection, whether it's something that you already have, or something that is completely new. First spray gives me a fruity burst there, but I'm going to read the notes that Paris Corner lists for this fragrance. They list apple and coconut at the top. The fruitiness, I'm going to say, does not align exactly with apple, but there is like a fruity wrap up there at the top, right? And in the mid of this fragrance lists heliotrope, violet, jasmine, and rose. And at the base of this fragrance is cashmere, cedarwood, sandalwood, patchouli, vanilla, and sugar. Yes, you are going to get a burst of a fruity, sugary note there that greets you right there at the opening. So this fragrance is going to assert itself as a fruity wrap up of a scent that is sweet in nature. The one thing that made me say perhaps start with this one is it is one fragrance that I had actually dropped in one dupe compilation list, which are the compilation list where I always drop fragrances after I had been clued up with my supplier that this one was in line with the Yara, but then I went ahead and bought it anyway, blind bought it actually, because when I went on Paris Corner's website I was left conflicted whether I was right to drop it in that dupe compilation list as a Yara clone, because on Paris Corner it lists this particular fragrance as a standalone. To clear that, guys, the first burst of this fragrance aligns so much with Yara. They're similar in interpretation. There is that wrap up that you get from Yara that kind of feels strawberryish there, kind of candyish like sugared, that sort of thing. You're also going to get from this fragrance. So I'm going to say it is actually identical. There is a gourmand nature to this, something that Yara lists, but they did not word it that way as in gourmand notes or something like that, because I was trying to compare the notes for Paris Corner with Yara. Where they seem to split there is where, on Paris Corner website, they have gone on to list vanilla and sugar as a separate note in here. Whereas in the Yara one, it just says gourmand notes, and gourmand notes are notes that make a fragrance, feel as though it's edible, that sort of thing. So I do get a gourmand nature in this particular fragrance, guys. Also has that marshmallowy wrap up that you're going to get from Yara. So it's a very difficult one to actually review without comparing to Yara, the original, especially if you've used that one. So what I'm going to say about this one, guys, is it feels very similar, except for the fact that in Yara, and that could be because my bottle, which I actually have here, because I was actually doing a side-by-side comparison just to be sure before I came here. My bottle has been in my collection, guys, since its inception. I think Yara was released maybe 3 years ago, and I've had mine since then, and it has thickened and gotten to the most concentrate of all concentrates. So I'm gonna say, as for this one, I do not get the sour tone that I'm now getting from my original Yara, where the fruits kind of interpret there as a bit sourish, as a bit fermented. I don't know, there's that accord there that just feels sourish. And some of you guys might actually say that feel that you get from Yara, especially after it sits for a very, very long time, aligns with boozy scents. There is that booziness there that I get from Yara that is missing in this one. However, I'm going to say, because Qissa Pink is still a fairly new fragrance in my collection, it might concentrate to become exactly that. It's going to give you a 65% feminine tone there. However, the 35%, of course, is going to be for those men out there who do not mind smelling of fragrances that feel as though they have like a strawberry wrap up to them there. And then the lasting power of this is remarkable for what it is. The fact that I've had this one for less than about a month, I'm getting about 6 hours. Okay, 6 hours on, I'm going to put it at about 10 sprays, because overall I am a heavy sprayer. So this is what I get from this fragrance at the moment. Even before it has macerated, it just comes across to me as something that I probably did not need, considering that I do have Yara. So if you do have Yara, I'm going to say maybe you need to test this before you purchase it. Otherwise, it might be one of those fragrances that turn up and become redundant. Another thing is maybe the pricing of it. If this one is affordable, then you maybe want to buy this one as a backup, or accessibility, because sometimes some of these fragrances get off the shelves and you can't get them. So if you can't access Yara, then you're not going to be far off if you purchase this one, because it kind of feels in the same vein as that, performing almost identical to that, meaning it's going to macerate to something that is at par, almost feeling like the same juice rebottled. So that is what I can say, guys, about Qissa Pink. Now, let's get into the Qissa that does not say blue, but is bottled in a blue bottle. I'm going to spray it in its box, just like I did with my Qissa Pink, right? And confession, this is one that gave me a pleasant surprise. It was also a blind buy because I did not get to sniff this. I was thinking along the lines of maybe Neroli Portofino, just based on how the bottle looks. I was looking at something along the lines of, something that's going to be aquatic, even something along the lines of Blue Sapphire, by Boadicea. But what I get from this fragrance, guys, is a bright, citrusy surprise of a fragrance. It screams a genderless almost immediately as you spray there. You cannot say it aligns with the feminine, with the females or the males. It's just a safe, genderless fragrance. Now, as for the notes for this fragrance, guys, they went round and round and round, right? They did mention the citruses, but they went on to break those citruses into bergamot, lemon, I think orange as well, okay? But it's going to give you a citrusy wrap up there that is going to rise to the surface immediately as you spray it. But there is something in this, guys, that makes sure that it doesn't just become about those like quintessential citrus gem scents. There is artemisia here that they've put at the top, some ylang as well as some leather. And in the mid of this fragrance, guys, is going to have ginger, and that ginger sparkles. I like how the weight of ginger, especially used in decent doses, kind of puts a sparkle on a fragrance where it just brightens up. That ginger is going to make this fragrance feel very summery, very fun, very spring forward, a mood lifter, that sort of thing. And that ginger is added in the mid. There is going to be some patchouli as well there, and then a wrap up of the florals, which include jasmine and some magnolia. Now, I think the way the citruses are anchored there, probably also because of magnolia, because magnolia can put a citrusy weight to a fragrance as well as a musky weight to a fragrance. So I do get a musk as well there. And yes, they have gone ahead on the Pirates Corner website to list heavy musk. They actually put heavy musk. They didn't just say musk. So it was as good as saying a double dose or triple dose of musk or whatever it is. But because they just said heavy musk, I had to kind of look for it with my nose. And that is how I concluded that the other weight of the musk could be coming from or bouncing off the magnolia, anchoring an already existing musk. And then there's a soft amber there. They have listed woods in the note pyramid. There's some saffron and some okmos, right? So though that is the note pyramid, guys, for Qissa. If you are wondering which one you should purchase, not that they smell like a continuation of each other, I'm going to say this one's going to be a better buy. More so that Yara has been around the block, okay? I'm not saying Qissa Pink is Yara, but I'm saying just that familiarity might be a fragrance that turns up and you then feel as though you've been robbed, you know, that sort of thing. But this DNA is one that I'm going to say is a delight. It has fruity accents. Everything about this is gentle. They did list the leather in this fragrance, but the leather in itself comes across as subtle, safe enough to be a leather that can be worn, you know, by females, just the same as the woods there. The woods are just there, you know, to add somewhat of a some strength perhaps in this fragrance, and then it turns into a fresh, spicy, aromatic scent, keeping the citruses but not exactly making it about the citruses, okay? And then that musky weight, right? The heavyweight notes here come across as light, but tying it, of course, because remember we said it is a summer scent, so the heavyweight notes, for example the woods, come across as light, but tying it enough together with that you know, aromatic ginger and that citrus there, giving it a little bit of some weight, the oakmoss there, all working together to give this fragrance somewhat of a lasting power that's better than just a gym scent. So there's going to be a longevity of up to 4 or 5 hours, right? This could possibly get better, but at the moment I'm not getting a DNA that I'm gonna say feels as though it's gonna go heavyweight. At the moment, it just presents as one of those safe fragrances that you want to reach for, especially if you're going to be in the sun or it's a spring season, that kind of thing. And then there is a creamy wrap up to this fragrance. It doesn't list sandalwood, but that wrap up of the creaminess kind of aligns with what I get sometimes from fragrances that include sandalwood as a note. And the wrap up of the DNA in its entirety feels very close to something that, if you like Initio's Musk therapy, you're going to like this fragrance. It's not a clone 100, but it kind of vibes in the same way, right? So I do think maybe that is the reason why they put heavy musks instead of just musk, right? That this is going to be musky in its dry down. You're going to get the musk right there in the opening, but as it dries down, it kind of, you know, even ends up opening up to that musk even more and more. So it aligns very close with that musk therapy by Initio. So yeah, if I am to rate these two fragrances, I'm going to give this one a 10 out of 10. This I'm going to give a 9 out of 10 for the fact that it's not a new DNA to my nose. Once you have used Yara, guys, it just gives you that unmistakable Yara DNA, this pink one, save for the fact that the fruits are not as sour as Yara and the lasting power is not as beastly as that of Yara for now. Paris Corner is on the roll. I did drop in the dupe compilation list the Kaheela Fusion, and that is supposed to be a Kaheela sparkling lychee clone. So it looks like Paris Corner is not joking. We have to brace ourselves, guys, to be buying more and more. And for those people that are looking for these fragrances, you can grab them, guys, at Aroma Concepts, and this is not a paid promotion. CeeChronicles is my name. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. Let's meet in the comment section where we'll obviously discuss more about fragrances. Let me know your thoughts on these two, guys, and while you're at it, please turn on post notifications on both my channels. That way you get to be notified anytime I upload a video. Meanwhile, like and share this one, and remember that smelling good is a form of good manners. Cheers.